So this is for MAGA pro-life mothers. Now that we know that women and teenage girls are losing their lives in emergency rooms because of these healthcare bans that were put into place by Trump and other Republicans, and even if you believe this garbage about it being the doctors and the hospitals who are misinterpreting the law, what do you think is going to happen when your daughter shows up in an emergency room and has sepsis? Because they're not going to ask you who you voted for. They're not going to listen to you while you're screaming for them to help your daughter about how, oh, that's not what we meant. We met some imaginary woman that we don't know, who's irresponsible, who wants to end her pregnancy. That's who we meant. We didn't mean my daughter, whose now organs are shutting down. So why don't you give that a think while you're at church this Sunday, praying for the unborn? So if you can imagine what that mother was going through in Texas when she was begging them to help her daughter, who had blood running down her legs and a fever. Think about where you would want to be in that position. Only you can save your daughter right now by voting for Harris and Democrats all the way down the ballot.
So you thought healthcare bans would only affect other women, the irresponsible ones, the ones you don't know. And now your daughter could be the one bleeding out in an emergency room while doctors stand there, paralyzed by fear of losing their license. Here's the reality. Laws don't check your voter registration before they apply. They don't care if you're a good family or went to church every Sunday. When a doctor has to choose between saving a life and going to prison, what do you think happens? This isn't hypothetical. Texas, Idaho, Ohio. Women are already dying. Not because doctors are stupid, but because the law is so vague that one wrong move equals jail time. You can pray all you want, but when your daughter is dying and the law you supported is why no one will help, that's on you.
I had a little visit with MAGA Mom yesterday, and her husband was there, and it may have been the most depressing one yet. I showed them my Support for Ukraine bracelet. She said, "Did you just like those colors?" And I said, "No, I support Ukraine in the war against Putin." He interjects and says, "Hey, did you see Biden, his very last speech that he made on TV?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, that wasn't him." I said, "Was it one of the lizard people or an alien?" "No, it was someone who looked like him, but it wasn't him." So then I said, "Since when are you boomers voting for Putin? Since when have you turned tail and now we're all excited about Russia and Putin?" And the saddest thing I ever heard was my MAGA mom say, "Well, they're not really our neighbors, so I don't think we have to worry about Russia." So I say, "Do you want me to show you on a map just how close we are to Russia within walking distance?" She said, "Well, that's Alaska. If they go after Alaska, that's not going to affect me." And I said, "So as long as it doesn't affect you directly, you really don't care." That's correct. So I think the lack of empathy is dead doggone there, and the lack of sympathy and caring for others. It was sad.
That's Alaska. It won't affect me. I need a moment to process that level of stunning ignorance. Ukraine isn't just about Ukraine. It's about whether we let aggressive superpowers redraw maps by force. Because if one falls, they don't stop. The Baltics, Poland, Finland, all NATO allies. You know what NATO means? If one gets attacked, we all go to war. But forget geopolitics for a second. Let's talk about the empathy part. They're not our neighbors, so I don't care. That's the line. That's where we draw it on human life. By that logic, if someone 3 streets over gets robbed, not your problem. Someone 2 towns away loses their house. Whatever. That's not patriotism. That's selfish isolationism. And the scariest part, this isn't rare. This is a mindset. If it doesn't affect me directly, I don't care. That's how democracies collapse.
Hey, Mom, do you think that the Republican Party and MAGA are the same thing?
Absolutely not. I grew up Republican, voted Republican my entire life, and the leaders that I admired were incredibly respectful of women. They would never weaponize Christianity because they were not hypocristians. They lived their faith. They treated people with different ideologies with respect, not like enemies of the state. They would never raid the Capitol. I don't even recognize that. They handled hard issues, immigration and abortion, but with compassion. And I think because politics wasn't a game show, it wasn't cruelty for claps. What's happening now, that's not the party that I believe in. This is something else entirely.
So would you vote Republican again?
I don't know that the Republican Party exists anymore. This is MAGA. I will not vote MAGA.
This distinction is everything. Republican does not equal MAGA. There's a reason lifelong conservatives are walking away. A reason people who voted red their entire lives are saying, I don't recognize this anymore. Traditional conservatism was about fiscal responsibility, limited government, institutional respect, disagreement on policy, not treating opponents like enemies. MAGA, that's different. It's grievance, spectacle, cruelty as entertainment, loyalty to one person over everything else. Traditional conservatives wouldn't storm the Capitol, wouldn't call for executing opponents, wouldn't weaponize religion. If you're a lifelong conservative watching your party get hijacked, I get it, that's gotta hurt. But what are you gonna do? Because staying silent while everything burns? That's complicity. You don't have to switch parties, but you do have to draw a line. Otherwise, MAGA becomes the only version left.
Regarding all these farmers that are now crying about possibly losing their farms because they voted for Trump, this is why you absolutely should not feel bad for any of these farmers that voted for Trump. Now, the ones that didn't vote, yes, feel sorry for them, go support them, do whatever you need to do. But the ones that voted for Trump, do not feel sorry for them, and let me tell you why. I am a builder, and I've been building shit in Oklahoma City going on like 20 years now, and farmers are not stupid. If you have the ability to manage a farm and understand the weather, the climate, your machinery, the chemistry that goes into your crops, you are not a stupid person. You're just not. And especially when you come from generational farming, you have the ability to look ahead and predict what you need to survive. And so when you have two candidates where you have Kamala Harris on one side giving you a whole fucking list of shit that she's going to do for you and make your life better, and then you have Trump on the other side who can't even come out with a normal sounding sentence, and you still vote for that guy and you are a farmer, you are either racist or sexist or both. And they're only crying now because now they are being treated exactly how they voted for other people to be treated. Got that? They are being treated how they voted for other minorities, people of color, everybody else, poor people, sick people. That's how they voted for other people to be treated. And now they're the ones being treated that way by losing their livelihood, their homes, their income, their farms. So do not feel sorry for them. This is exactly what they had coming.
Here's the question that gets people big mad. Should we feel sorry for farmers losing everything? Answer: it depends. Didn't vote for tariffs? Got screwed by policies you opposed? Absolutely. You deserve support. That's collateral damage, and it's tragic. But if you cheered for tariffs, thought they'd hurt other people, but not you, supported mass deportations even though your workforce is undocumented, then this is what you voted for. And here's why people are angry. Farmers aren't stupid. If you can manage land, crops, machinery, weather patterns, you're smart. You know how to plan. So when one candidate laid out detailed agricultural support and the other just rambled incoherently, and you still chose chaos, that wasn't ignorance. That was a choice. Now you're crying after years of voting for policies that hurt immigrants, poor people, sick people. Forgive me if I'm not rushing to cry for you. You're not upset people are hurting. You're upset you're hurting. That's not injustice. That's karma.
Quick follow-up as to why exactly would Trump be doing this to farmers anyways, and I'm guessing 99% chance it's because he wants to bankrupt farms so his corporate buddies can come in and do a land grab. Basically what you have been seeing the last few years, major companies buying up a bunch of rental houses and jacking up the price of rents, and it's all going to corporations. It's probably something similar to let these farms go to foreclosure and his corporate buddies be able to come in, swoop them up, and now you've got bigger companies involved in more of our day-to-day food.
I want to chase the American dream. Look at this particular video I'm showing you guys. Look at this video very, very well. This is a woman lamenting on how she cannot breathe, she cannot survive. She is tired, she is frustrated. Can you see what she's showing you? You can see from her face, this is a white American lady. Her face is already red. Like she is like she can no longer take it. She has to come out and voice out. She has asked for help and she's even tired. She can't even continue to ask for help, to the point that she has to break down in the presence of her son, and she got so annoyed that she actually did that. This is not the only woman coming out to cry. This is not the only woman coming out to say, American right now, Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Emeka Peter, happy safe flights for those of you that still want to move to America. But you can see that it is not rosy everywhere. Don't think that it is rosy. Can you see her windows that they are showing? It is not rosy everywhere. The earlier you realize, the better. You can chase your greener pasture even in your land, in your father's land. You can do it. And I'm not saying or discouraging anybody not to move. That is why I'm saying you should be getting my videos clear. I'm not saying, I'm just telling you so that you should also see it, and so that those of you that is always depending on your uncles and aunties, you're always depending on them because they are in the US, they are in Canada, they are in UK, they are in this place. Just know that things is not rosy for them. Just know that they might have been passing through one or two things. Just know that they might be among those people you're seeing in the street of America or in the street of Canada or every single place. There is no place that is easy. The earlier you realize that, you will wake up and start doing the normal thing you're supposed to do. Go and look for what to do and stop depending on people. Stop depending on abroad aunties and uncles. It is not rosy. They are not getting it. They are not, in fact, they're even suffering. Some of them are even suffering more than you. Let me say some of them, because yes, some persons are comfortable, right? But some of them are suffering more than you. If an American white lady can break down like this, coming out with goosebumps, I really felt for this woman, honestly. I really felt for this woman. And if you want me to post her full story, let me know. I will do a video and post her full story. Anyways, like, follow, comment, and happy safe flights to America.
This woman breaking down on camera, that's real. That's millions of Americans right now. But let me add nuance. Life in America is hard. The cost of living is insane. But the reason isn't America is terrible. The reason is that systems that used to support working people have been dismantled. Unions, crushed, wages, stagnant for 40 years, healthcare, tied to employment, housing, bought by corporations. This isn't what America has to be. This is what happens when greed runs wild and gets called freedom. So, if you're thinking about moving here, do your research. Don't assume it's easy, but also understand this isn't inherently broken. It's chosen by leaders, by voters, and the people struggling now, a lot of them voted against healthcare, unions, affordable housing. They made it harder for themselves.
When Donald Trump won the election, I sobbed. Like, I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed for a while. And I remember after I did that, I felt kind of silly because I was like, it's gonna be okay. Like, I don't know. I didn't know what was to come, but I just remember feeling like this is gonna be bad. And so far, it's actually worse than I thought it was going to be. So, on a positive note, I feel, validated, I guess.
You know what? It's okay to grieve when dangerous things happen politically. Politics isn't abstract. It's real. It affects lives. And this woman's instinct, crying because she knew it would be bad, she was right. Mass deportations, threats of war, families torn apart, people losing farms, healthcare getting worse. Her grief was valid. Her fear was rational. People mocked folks for crying, said, "You're being dramatic, calm down." Those people were wrong, because when you elect cruelty, you get cruelty. So to anyone feeling that grief now, I see you. It's not silly. And to the people now having regret, welcome to reality. Glad you finally made it.
See if you can guess who the bad guy is in this situation.
It feels just absolutely batshit crazy to me that at this point in time, I say to my mother, have you heard about Minneapolis? Have you heard about Venezuela? And then I ask the question, does this change your opinion at all? And her response is, we're not going to talk about this because if we do, you'll tell me I can't see the kids anymore.
You're right. That is absolutely crazy. And I know that you think that your mom is the bad person in this situation because she's not talking about the issues that you want to talk about, and she's not changing her way of thinking to the way that you think, which is wild because I'm sure she's heard a lot about inclusivity, love, compassion, and empathy from you as well. But the bad guy in this situation is you, man, because your mom knows that her daughter is so unhinged that if she even tries to have a different opinion than her, that will be grounds to cut off contact, for her to never see her grandkids again. Politics has become your entire identity. And it is absolutely crazy that your mom knows that you're using her grandkids as leverage to make her think the way that you do, and that your politics are the most important thing, to the point where you wouldn't even hesitate to cut off your kids from their grandparents and vice versa. You would willingly hurt the people that you're supposed to love to make a point.
Look, weaponizing kids against grandparents is wrong. Using access to grandchildren as leverage is manipulative. But let's be real about what's happening. If your mom voted for policies that strip your daughter's rights, that make the world more dangerous for your kids. That's support hate. At some point, you ask, do I want my children around this? Because values don't exist in a vacuum. Kids absorb them. If grandma believes certain people don't deserve rights, supports politicians who demonize minorities, immigrants, LGBTQ+ people, what is she teaching your kids when you're not there? Maybe this woman's being too harsh, or maybe she's protecting her kids from an environment that contradicts everything she's teaching. Relationships need mutual respect, and if someone's politics involve dehumanizing your loved ones, that's not a difference of opinion. That's a fundamental values clash.
Are we kidding, you guys? The amount of love and support that you have showed me within 24 hours blows my mind. Blows my mind. Basically, I posted yesterday, if you haven't seen it, it's on my page and it's pinned. I posted yesterday that within seconds of me posting and sharing my support for Donald Trump, I lost hundreds of followers within seconds. I'm not a big creator, okay? I don't even have 10,000 followers. So losing hundreds of followers within seconds hurts me. It hurts my account, right? I couldn't believe how butthurt people were. I actually, it actually blew me away. What also blew me away is the comments that people were leaving on my video saying that it's happening to them or they have family members that stop talking to them. Get over it. You guys, the butthurt ones, get over it. It blows my mind. I can't even comprehend it, honestly. I just can't. But what I can comprehend is the amount of love and support that I received on that video yesterday. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, because as a small creator on this app, that was freaking amazing. So shout out to everyone that continues to follow me. Once I'm out of TikTok jail, I will follow you back, I promise. And hell yeah, Donald Trump.
And the MAGA tea continued. So Laura Loomer was not going to let Elon Musk get away with shit. He went off and did his rant. So Laura Loomer responded with this. The elephant in the room is that Elon Musk, who is not MAGA and never has been, is a total fucking drag on the Trump transition. He's a stage 5 clinger who overstayed his welcome at Mar-a-Lago. He told Bob Iger at Disney to go fuck himself over ad money, but he won't tell Xi Jinping to go fuck themselves, and he's perfectly happy to take their money to fund his factory. He's a complete compromised by the CCP, and now he has unfettered access to President Trump. This is fucked up and we need to stop it now. He's the biggest elephant in the room. Then Laura Loomer asked this amazing question. Said, hello, Marco Rubio, what the hell are we doing here? Is this MAGA? So then of course Elon Musk replied. Maybe this will be helpful clarification as he was explaining the immigration thing that started this whole tea back and forth. And if you haven't seen part 1, go a couple videos down. He gives an analogy of NBA, and Laura Loomer did not disappoint. She said, hey, Elon, so you're telling me that 70K per year entry-level jobs are 0.1% level talent? She doesn't drop the receipts of Tesla. She went there. She said, thanks for your money, tech bros. Now please go away and let Trump be Trump. Mar-a-Lago isn't a sleepaway camp for tech pros who weren't best and bright enough to stand with Trump in the primary. We have an actual elected president, and his name is Donald Trump. Even Matt Gaetz got involved in this conversation because Vivek also got involved. So Doge is under fire right now from their own party. He was mad that they were trying to come up with some immigration policy. Couldn't manufacture this tea any better. Round 3 coming up. This is your political mom, educational purposes only, viewers discretion.
Grab your popcorn. Peak chaos. The whole movement eating itself alive. And honestly, inevitable. Because it's not built on principles. It's built on loyalty to one person. And the second rewards stop flowing fast enough. Everyone turns on each other. Some want cheap labor for their companies. Others want immigration crackdowns. Everyone's fighting for proximity to power. None of them care about policy, just access. That's the problem with personality cults. Without a referee, it's a free-for-all. Watching it implode? Beautiful. But here's what isn't funny. While they fight over who's real people suffer. Families deported, farms lost, women dying. So yeah, enjoy the spectacle. But remember, this is government. While they fight, we pay the price.
As Donald Trump's presidency continues to collapse with MAGA civil war raging, Americans feeling the pain that Donald Trump is inflicting on all of us, more and more MAGA voters are getting out there and saying, hey, I regret my vote for Donald Trump. I made a mistake. He's the wrong guy for the job. And this is happening across the country, from average everyday Americans to even MAGA influencers who swore by Donald Trump. It is devastating for him and his administration. And it's especially happening after all these ICE raids in California and what Donald Trump is doing in the Middle East. So I want to show you a bunch of examples that have been gathered. But first and foremost, let me show you one from TikTok where a woman came on saying, hey, I voted for peace. I voted for a peaceful presidency, no conflict. And she feels betrayed by Donald Trump. Take a look.
I think the hardest part about all of this is that middle-aged, I didn't think I could get fooled again by politicians, not after W, which I voted for.
Except she got fooled by the biggest con man known to American politics, but I digress.
I voted for peace in independent parties every election since then. And I'm still processing the fact that I've part of the demographic that ushered this into power. Now we're sending our kids to die in war again. Over nukes. Not weapons of mass destruction. That was never going to work. It's full-blown, maybe potentially nukes this time. I hate myself.
I hate myself. At the end, she just said. This is as much regret as you're going to see from these MAGA folks. She voted for Donald Trump on the idea of peace, of an independent party, is what she said. But her view now is that, quote, I hate myself. That's how much regret that some MAGA fans are feeling over Donald Trump, especially now because he's on the verge of going to war with Iran after promising he'd be the peace president. He would only focus on eliminating conflict, not getting into new conflict. And now look where we are. So let's dive into some of these examples that have been gathered. Let's start here. These ICE raids have received backlash from those on the left, but even the MAGA crowd isn't holding back their disapproval of immigrant families being torn apart. Here's one example from Facebook. I honestly did not vote for deportation or any of that. I voted for so many other things that I felt would benefit my little family, and it has been fulfilled / is being fulfilled. So that's one voter saying, hey, I do not like what I'm seeing in Los Angeles. I'm not a fan. But let's get into some conservative influencers, some big names that endorsed Donald Trump before the election. Ryan Garcia, a professional boxer, endorsed Donald Trump in the 2024 election, but he recently spoke out against Donald Trump's ICE raids in LA. This is a post that you can see on your screen that Ryan Garcia made before the election. He went to Mar-a-Lago. He hung out with Donald Trump. They made videos together. They took photos together. He posted these photos saying, America, that was it. But now he's changed his tune just slightly. Ryan Garcia posted recently, I may have voted for Trump, but I can't stay silent about what's happening with ICE in LA. These aren't just, quote, illegals or statistics. They're people, hardworking immigrants, especially Mexicans, who pay taxes, raise families, build our communities, and are part of the people we love. Ripping them away from their homes is not just policy, it's pain. We can have borders without losing our humanity. Just to be clear, having borders without losing our humanity is the exact policy, and I mean to a T, that Kamala Harris ran on, that Joe Biden was promoting during his presidency. Having borders, enforcing our borders, having a strong immigration system, reforming that immigration system to make it more efficient. But that entire policy of approaching immigration in a humane way is something Kamala Harris said time and time and time again. So let me just start off by saying, look, I'm very happy that some of these MAGA voters are having regret over their support for Donald Trump. I'm never going to reject a MAGA fan who says, hey, I don't like Trump anymore. Maybe we can gain a voter or something like that. But it's so frustrating for MAGA to say like the exact same things that Kamala Harris was saying. That's the policy they support, except they voted for Donald Trump.
Let's talk regret. We're seeing a lot of it. Voters saying, wait, I didn't vote for this. And on one hand, good, welcome. Glad you're seeing reality. But on the other hand, where were you when one candidate laid out detailed plans? When the other rambled incoherently about concepts? Where were you when he praised dictators, promised mass deportations, said he'd bomb other countries? You voted for peace? He said he'd start wars. You voted for borders with humanity? The other candidate ran on exactly that. So forgive me if I'm not throwing a parade for people just now realizing they got conned. We tried to tell you. We showed receipts. We begged you to pay attention. You didn't listen. You voted for vibes, entertainment, chaos. And now you're shocked chaos happened? I won't reject people who genuinely regret it. We need them. But let's be clear. This isn't whoopsie. This is I voted for policies that kill people and didn't care until it affected me. Welcome back. But don't expect a cookie. So here we are. Mothers crying, farmers begging, families broken, all because people voted for cruelty and assumed they'd be exempt. They weren't. Here's the thing about consequences. They don't care about your intentions. They just are. You voted to take away healthcare, people suffer. You voted for tariffs, farms collapse. You voted for mass deportations, families torn apart. This is exactly what was promised. We tried to warn you. You called us dramatic. We weren't, and now you know. Drop a comment. Do they deserve sympathy, or is this cause and effect? Hit like, share this, and subscribe. We're just getting started. This is Mind Mirror. The mirror shows exactly what you voted for. See you next time.